Peace, peace, peace. What it is, your brother Tyvon Swano, aka the Orthodox Moor, aka the Seven Pillar Saracen, aka Brother Moore. Wishing you all peace and blessings. Uh, so, real quick, a good brother of mine got at me and let me know that there was somebody who wanted to talk to me because uh, I'm not a medical physician. I don't give medical advice. However, there's a lot of people that ask my opinion on how me and my family got over cancer and other things like that. Um, and there was a sister who had she's in remission of cancer, but she was having some issues revitalizing herself, recovering from cancer and whatnot. So she through the brother, she got a hold of me and asked a few questions and asked if I knew of anything that would be beneficial to her, whatnot. Um, and so um, I'm making this video for her and for anybody else who has anything similar that they're going through. So again, I'm not a medical physician. I'm not giving medical advice. This is not about how to deal with cancer or anything like that. This is about um, uh, me sharing my anecdotal stories and stuff like that concerning recovery from cancer, etc. I've made other videos on cancer. Um, you can check those out on my channel, etc. I'll be putting these together all in a playlist. Um, but I definitely wanted to make this information accessible to not just the sister, but and have her be able to be able to look at it over and over again, but also make it accessible to the public as well. And hopefully, this information can be helpful to somebody. Um, the sister described a very um, she described a post cancer situation that I'm very familiar with. Um, she went through chemo radiation. She went through I think she went through chemotherapy, radiation, and she had surgery. Um, she had a mastectomy, and she also had neuropathy by the time she was done with her cancer treatment. She's in remission, but she's saying she feels really, really run down, and she's trying to just like revitalize her body in some way, shape, or form. And so uh, this is a little presentation I put together for her, um, and for anybody else who's interested in said information. Um, Real quick, I'm going to answer some questions from the chat. Um, my brother's asking me, is this real? Uh, did you have cancer? Does this have double meaning? Yes, I did have cancer. So my maternal, or excuse me, my paternal grandmother had cancer. My father had cancer. My mother had cancer, and I've had cancer. And so um, that's why a lot of people ask my opinion on stuff like this, is because there's a lot of stuff that's happened concerning conventional treatments and also adjuvant therapies. I talk a lot about adjuvant therapies, which are therapies that you can take along with conventional treatments that don't go against them, actually help the treatments, etc. Um, Another good brother is asking, is the Limbo Elder doing better? Yes, he is. He let me know he's doing okay. Um, all praise to the Most High. For those who don't know, the Limbo Elder Cohen Hamadishe, um, he's in remission of cancer. All praise to the Most High. And so this might even be beneficial for people like him. So getting back to that thing, I'm actually gonna do it like this now. Go full screen with this. So again, we got a sister in recovery, right? So the cancer's in remission. Um, Surgeries are done, chemo's done, radiation is done, all that type of stuff, right? She's back to work, trying to get back to regular everyday life, like a lot of people, right? And so this becomes a real big part of cancer recovery, right? Or dealing with cancer is once you beat it, how do you recover from this stuff, right? Because chemo and radiation is no joke. Um, it's no joke. Um, I watched my stepmother go through it, completely lose all her hair, completely just get beat down, run down, etc. I watched my father go through chemo. He didn't go through radiation, etc. Um, I watched my mom go through chemo and radiation. She went through heavy radiation treatments, heavy radiation treatments. Um, and when you go over my previous videos, I talk about how I was not able to use any of those treatments because I couldn't afford to. Was what I do. I couldn't afford um, uh, to be run down on those, so I stuck to the adjuvant therapies. Um, I'm not saying that I recommend people do that. You do what you feel is right between you and your doctors, etc. Whatnot. Uh, like I said, I'm not a medical physician, but I can tell you I'm still here. Yeah. Um, but moving forward, how to deal with things once you're in remission, right? Because getting to remission is a beast in and of itself, in and of itself. But once you get there, that's not the finish line. Like that's what the sisters feel like. Well, okay, this is not. I got more miles to run. Yeah, it's not the finish line. Um, because chemo and radiation treatments, they treat the cancer as a parasite and they treat you as the host, right? And so what they're designed to do is to as the host make you um, unappetizing to the parasite. Um, and so one of the ways that basically the main way they do that is they break you down, right? They almost make you they make you toxic to the parasite, right? However, so in doing so, there's a recovery from that toxicity that has to happen. Um, and so um, that's a whole nother fight, right? Whole nother fight. Um, if you go into a cancer ward, you're going to see people really, really run down looking, right? That's not from the cancer. That's from the chemo and the radiation, right? There's little bits of the cancer, but that's not really what cancer does like that. That's not you're not. That's why a lot of times people when they find out they have cancer, they find out they have it in late stages because they thought they were fine. You know what I'm saying? Um, when you see the people that are really really run down, almost like peaked and ghostly looking, like that's the chemo and the radiation. Again, they're treating you as the host, um, in such a way to where they're trying to make you unappetizing to the parasite and toxic to the parasite, basically, right? So once that's successful, you gotta you gotta revitalize. However, there's a couple things to watch out for as well, right? So they can't ever guarantee that they kill all the cancer. They say that they kill, like they kill the cancer they can see, right? However, they have you keep coming back for checkups because um, the cancer can still be around. They might not have killed all of it, right? And it can still come back around and regrow, etc. Um, so definitely stay up on your post cancer checkups, yeah, because these are very 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 important. Um, however, I was mentioning adjuvant therapies, and I was mentioning like this recovery from the chemo, etc., right, and the radiation, etc. And so there, you can actually kill a bunch of birds with one stone here in the concept of you can actually do something with adjuvant therapies to actually make it to where this is not such a problem, to where you're aiding the process and to where like there's not going to be a regrowth of cancer, and you can also do things to help the body revitalize um, from the chemo and radiation with adjuvant therapies. Um, First and foremost of which I'm going to talk about is something that me and my family took called turkey tail extract. Turkey tail is a mushroom. Its scientific name is Trametes versicolor. Um, It also has another one, Coriolis something or other. But yeah, you'll basically find this Trametes versicolor. Um, this particular mushroom was very, very important because of something called polysaccharide PSK. Um, that polysaccharide within the mushroom does something that's very, very, very important. Um, it so like I was saying, the doctors will kill all the cancer they can see, just like the body's going to attempt to, right? And one of the reasons why cancer proliferates and expands in the body is because the body doesn't actually see it expanding. So like the white blood cells don't really see, like they know it's there, they can feel that it's there, they just can't see it, right? And they end up eating you, trying to eat the cancer, right? And that's pretty much how you die of cancer, right? Um, is your body can't see it and it eats itself trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like you as the host get taken out by the parasite in that concept, right? However, this PSK actually, as an adjunct or an adjuvant therapy, again, I can't stress that enough. How effective it is as an adjunct and adjuvant therapy. It's even being used as a cancer treatment in and of itself in China and Japan, and being used in commercial format. Um, so there's a couple things I'm going to talk about here, but so what PSK does is it does something here, calls it increases chemosensitivity, right? This is a tumorous cancer cell, right? So what this does is it labels the cancer cell, right? It sensitizes the cell, right? Um, think about it like a laser guided missile, right? So if the white blood cell is the missile, right? What the PSK does is it laser guides the missile to, or the white blood cell to the cancer cell. It now labels the cancer cell so that the white blood cell can see it and attack it and do its job. Um, what it also does is it also has the ability to put a chemoprotective shell on healthy cells that have not been infected by cancer, and it will aid in keeping them from being affected by cancer. So it does two things. PSK, I'm saying it does two things. It labels the cancer cell for the white blood cells, but it also has the ability um, to put a chemoprotective shell on the healthy cells that have not been infected by cancer. Um, it decreases metastasis because of this. Metastasis is the concept of cancer spreading and proliferating through the body. Um, this is very, very important to understand. Along with PSP, another polysaccharide within the turkey tail itself. Again, the other scientific name, Coriolis versicolor. Um, they help alleviate the body of free radicals, right? And so this is something that's important when it comes to detoxifying from radiation, and chemotherapy, etc. There's a lot of residual, like particularly when it comes to radiation, there's a lot of residual effects of radiation in the body that stay around for a long time. And so when you take PSP, it actually helps the body get that out of the system. It almost acts like a magnet to the free radicals, and it sucks them out and kind of like helps remove the radiation out of the system and whatnot, right? Um, so I was talking about my stepmother earlier, right? Like she didn't take turkey tail until after she had done like the chemo and radiation, and so she had already lost her hair, right? My mother did intensive radiation, but she was on this stuff from the beginning to the end, right? And so what she found was that she didn't lose her hair as much. She literally, like, so my mom had hair that was always long to put in a ponytail, and so she lost hair, but in doing, like, she did like a double dose of radiation, of heavy radiation, right? And and she was told it was going to be more than normal. And so in a more than normal circumstance, and again, this is purely anecdotal, obviously purely anecdotal, so just take it as such, right? Um, in a situation where she was getting more radiation than normal, she not only did not lose that much hair, she was able to keep enough hair to where it was able to stay in a bun the entire time. So it went from a ponytail to a bun. She never had to wear a wig, nothing. No one was able to look at her and tell that she was going through chemo and radiation. Did not happen. As a matter of fact, Um, a lot of people when they go through chemo and radiation, they feel run down afterwards. She would come home and feel famished, and she would just eat, 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 eat. But part of that is because, again, the residual effects of not wanting to eat, not being hungry off that type of stuff is because, like, you're feeling the residual effects of the radiation in the body, right? And so what this does is this actually helps remove those effects faster, a lot faster. So going forward, this would be the first adjuvant therapy that I would definitely recommend, in terms of, if you're not allergic to mushrooms, definitely I would try this out, because, again, it's approvable. There's a lot of medical science behind this, a lot of studies and whatnot. And sister, if you want to know, I can definitely get with you behind the scenes and supply those studies for you, etc. Numerous studies, on the efficacy of PSP and PSK in these particular circumstances. Um, Another adjuvant therapy I would recommend is a maitake extract of some sort. Um, Maitake is also mushroom. Um, Scientific name Grifola frondosa. Um, and one of the main reasons I would recommend this is there's two reasons why I recommend maitake for people when they're coming off of A, just as an adjuvant therapy to cancer, but B, when they're in recovery from such, is also like what I was saying earlier in terms of like the anti-metastatic concept, or like you don't want cancer to spread or like any residual cancer cells to grow. You want the same, you don't want the same thing, or you don't want tumors to grow either, right? And so maitake, among many things, is a very strong anti-tumor in terms of being an adjuvant therapy and working along with other things, right? Um, but it's been shown by itself to potentially increase tumor necrosis factors, or the rate of tumor death, by 40%. That's huge. That's very, very, very huge. Um, so um, I've seen this personally. I've seen in multiple cases where this extract has decreased, tumors at a rate that was alarming. I mean, it was like so. Uh, I'll tell this, like, so my mother actually had a cancer count come back. Like, so she went through the chemo and the radiation, and the cancer that she had actually came back. Um, she had stopped taking turkey tail. She had stopped taking a whole bunch of stuff, and so, um, she wasn't doing anything beyond just living a normal life or whatnot. And the cancer came, or she said I can't say the cancer came back. What happened is that she noticed a tumor growth that was giving off a very particular kind of liquid that was the same as what she experienced when she had cancer the first time, or this particular cancer the first time, because she had cancer when I was a kid. When I was first born, she had like cervical cancer. Then she had this other cancer, which was um, a form of cancer in the intestines, etc. And so, there was a tumor growth that she was able to notice, um, that became like the size of I believe, like a pencil eraser. And so, um, when she saw this, we had her make an appointment for a cancer screening, etc. And so the doctor said that the cancer screening was going to be 6 weeks off. And so I told her, I was like, yeah, um, it might not be there, like whether it's benign or malignant. Like, we know it's a tumor, whether it's benign, whether it's a good one or a bad, like, or it has something bad in it, like it's malignant or whatnot. Um, it's most likely not going to be there by the time that you go have your appointments. What I told my mom, right? And so she knew that full well going in, and ironically, when she got to her appointment, the tumor was gone. Um, Again, this is purely anecdotal. The same thing happened with me, right? Um, I was like after 6 weeks, I couldn't find the tumors that I was dealing with, right? Um, and so, I'm not saying that all tumors are going to go away in 6 weeks. I'm saying that ours were small enough to where within 6 weeks they went away. However, like I said, whether malignant or benign, it's extremely powerful and effective um, in terms of increasing the rate of tumor cell death. It increases tumor necrosis like you would not believe. Like I said, it can do so up to 40%. That's like knocking 40% off of the shelf life of anything is significant, you know. And so again, along with the turkey tail, um, these become very strong and powerful in terms of helping you fight cancer ever coming back. Um, what this also does, um, so a big part of dealing with cancer and revitalizing from cancer is dealing with diet. And you want to eat as clean as possible. But what a doctor is going to tell you more than anything, what's more important is eating as much as possible, right? Like eating what you can, is eating as much as you can to get through cancer, and then when you get over it, like just make sure that you got a healthy, steady diet after that, right? Um, and getting along the way, like so for me and my family, we changed a lot of stuff in our diets. We got off white sugar. Um, we went to stuff like basically um, clean grass fed meats, um, clean grains, etc. Um, mostly gluten free. Um, me, I was dairy free. My father was dairy free. My mother wasn't. Um, however, so on this journey of getting the food right, um, a lot of people have a hard time. And this is an interesting, like, so cancer, like you're gonna find a lot of times that cancer makes you like on a parasitical way. It increases your sweet tooth because it loves sugar. Um, and so in some ways this is a good thing, some ways this is a bad thing, right? And when you're trying to fight cancer and mitigate that concept, one thing that maitake does that's very very helpful is it actually helps regulate um, how blood sugar how it regulates the sugars released in the blood, etc. So it can be helpful for people who are diabetic, etc. And it's definitely helpful for people who don't have the healthiest of diets, and they're trying to get clean. So I'm not saying this like you should use this as like as a way to stay on a bad diet. I'm saying like this kind of helps you. Um, it helps you as you're trying to get your diet better. It's a tool that you can definitely use for that, and I recommend that highly, 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 highly. On top of its anti-tumor properties. Again, this is the concept of it, again, it can increase tumor necrosis by 40%. I cannot emphasize that enough. Um, you got like the tumor invasion here, and this is what it looks like when the tumor starts to break down and die, right? This is what you want. You don't want this. You want this. Um, whether you're battling cancer and using it as an adjuvant therapy or using it just in a remission state, it's very powerful in this sense. You can go to sleep at night knowing, okay, I'm taking adjuvant therapy and adjunct therapy to where, like with the turkey tail, there's something labeling any cancer cells that in my body, so my white blood cells can see it, and there's something that it's helping to protect my healthy cells from getting cancer. And if there's any tumors growing, if I can go to sleep at night knowing that the maitake is also helping to increase tumor cell death, right? Now this one again, very near and dear to the heart. It broke my like. I hate hearing this one here, right? Because what's happening with a lot of modern cancer treatments is for some people they can induce neuropathy. Um, I saw this happen to my stepmother. I saw this happen to my father. Fortunately, it did not happen to my mother, and it did not happen to me because I wasn't ever on chemotherapy. Uh, but I can tell you that Yeah, neuropathy is not a joke. And for people who don't know, haven't had neuropathy, from basically what I've understood from being around my stepmother and my father was that when they explained it to me, um, it was almost like having like a miniature electrical storm in your body, right? Like, your nerves are short circuiting, but you can feel like a lightning storm in your body, and you're feeling the shock, like you're getting shocked internally by your own nerves, kind of a thing. Or there's like it's like walking on pins and needles or whatnot. It's almost like gout in a sense, right? In that level. Or my father, when he was around, uh, he would complain about like sensitivity to heat and cold. It's like if he felt something really cold, it would really affect his nerves, or something really hot would really affect his nerves. Them kind of things. And so the sister was talking about that she had some light neuropathy she had to get over. Um, so another thing I would definitely recommend for that. Um, and yeah, my heart goes out to anybody dealing with neuropathy. Um, and the best way I try to describe neuropathy is like, so imagine like if you took a wire and started stripping in certain places and you plugged it in, right? It's gonna just start it's gonna start shorting and whatnot, right? Like neuropathy is like is like a internal short that's trying to find a ground and ends up electrocuting your own nerves back. Like it's oh my god, it's horrible. I feel so bad for people with neuropathy. But yeah, something I definitely recommend in trying again, if you're not allergic to mushrooms, um, is trying extract of the lion's mane mushroom. And one of the main reasons why I suggest this is because lion's mane mushroom increases NGF synthesis, or nerve growth factor synthesis. So basically, it increases nerve growth factors. Um, and so, like I was saying, like if you can think about your nerves as like almost being stripped at certain points or whatnot, think of or being broken down or degraded or whatnot. Think of the lion's mane as helping your nerves get building blocks to rebuild. Um, very like can't stress that enough. There's a lot of people. Um, I've known there's people I've known who've had strokes, and they use lion's mane to help. Um, they've used lion's mane to help with the numbing on one side of their body. Lion's mane it's being considered a treatment, or it's in consideration for being a treatment for Alzheimer's. Um, it has a lot of positive benefits to the neurological system. It's good for focus. It's good for a whole bunch of things. But yeah, in this particular sense, though, like it increases nerve growth factor synthesis, which is very important to you rebuilding your nerves. And again, stimulates neurogenesis. That's what you want. That's what you want. So something I'm going to speak on really quick, and insist we can definitely talk more about this behind the scenes if you need more clarification on this. I'm doing this like this for the people who are watching, because brand names change. I'm not affiliated with any brand, but like brands can open and close and shut down at any point in time. And so this information is going to be good to have no matter what brand you can find or whatnot, right? Any mushroom extract, whether it be liquid or powdered extract, needs to be made from a hot water base. It needs to be a hot water based extract, not an alcohol based extract. All mushroom extracts, whether liquid or powdered, need to be hot water based and not alcohol based. And when I say powdered extract, I mean powdered extract. I don't mean mushroom powder. I mean mushroom extract powder. There is a difference. Mushroom powder is far cheaper and is not as effective. Mushroom extract powder is concentrated and is more potent, way more potent. Now, final aspect we need to get into is the actual revitalization part, right? So we've talked a lot about preventative measures and kind of rebuilding the nerves now. But the sis wanted to know a lot about the revitalizing part, right? And so again, in understanding what chemo and radiation have done to you, kind of like breaking you down and making you toxic to the cancer, etc. Um, what you now need is to rebuild your body, and give it the building blocks to do so. Um, you again, you could eat like a food competitor, right? And that's not going to give you all the stuff that you need, right? You need the right actual vitamins and minerals to rebuild and revitalize the body, right? Um, and so something that I'm definitely going to suggest that you try it if you can, um, is something called nettle leaf. Um, a lot of people know this plant from falling in it when they were kids, getting stung and all kind of stuff. Um, but a lot of people don't know the health benefits of nettle leaf. Nettle leaf is one of them things that you can call a superfood. It's like a 96% complete food, and it has like basically every vitamin and mineral you can need in it. The only thing it's low in is its fat. It doesn't have a lot of fats. It's a leaf, right? Um, but in terms of vitamins and minerals, oh, it's full of them. Um, it's a very interesting plant. It tastes like spinach, but it's multiples upon multiples more nutrient dense than spinach. Um, and so, real quick, I wanted to break down the chemical constituents of a stinging nettle. Uh, I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to skip this part and just get right down to this bit here, just for sake of time. If y'all want to read that part, you can pause it up and check it out. But stinging nettle is a powerhouse of nutrients. It contains, on average, 22% protein, 4% fats, 37% non-nitrogen extracts, 9 to 21% fiber, and 19 to 29% ash. The leaves contain about 4.8 milligrams of chlorophyll per gram of dry leaves. That is important to understand. It is extremely high in chlorophyll. It's even used in commercial aspects for making chlorophyll. Why is that important? Chlorophyll mimics red blood cells. Under a microscope, chlorophyll looks almost exactly like a red blood cell. In fact, there's certain people who use chlorophyll as a blood transfusion, for religious purposes, etc. They don't take blood transfusion from human people, but they will take chlorophyll. Um, and nettles being high in chlorophyll, I can tell you, like, it makes a difference. This is like a blood revitalizer and a blood builder just on that one level alone. My father had leukemia and a few other things. And so at one point he was actually getting a lot of blood transfusions, which are extremely expensive, extremely costly. A lot of stuff went into it, and all that kind of stuff. However, he was in a situation to where he actually couldn't. At one point, he couldn't get the blood transfusions and whatnot, right? And so I would go pick nettles for him. I had large nettle patches near my house or whatnot, and so I would go pick nettles for him on a regular basis, and then we would juice the nettles, and he would drink the juice mixed with apple juice, and he would drink that as like a blood revitalizing drink. Uh, he said it tasted like figs and whatnot, which it did. It was fantastic. I used to drink it too. Um, and while having cancer, like while having leukemia, he went on a golfing trip with his friends to Las Vegas or whatnot, and he literally took a bunch of nettles frozen with him in bags and whatnot. He went to like the local store and got some apple juice when he was down there. He blended them up, strained them out like he normally did. He would take it on the golf course with him, and he was walking 18 holes, right? And so his friends like were astonished because he was like running circles around them. Like they knew he had cancer. Like they were in regular shape or whatnot, and he was running circles around them. And so when they came back, they're like, what are you giving your dad?" And I showed him, and then they all started taking it. Uh, it's a very interesting plant in that way. just as a revitalizing in the blood in that concept, right? And just getting energy that way, it's fantastic in and of itself. But on top of that, it's great for these reasons here. I'm going to keep reading, right? Now, this is the cold part, right? Depending on whether the plant is grown in the sun or the shade, it has more chlorophyll. Like so, like you'll notice that plants that are grown in the shade, or nettle plants that are in the shade, they're like this beautiful purple color. It's extremely rich in chlorophyll. I used to get those from my dad, and when I would blend it up, the juice is almost. It was so green, it was almost black. So green, it was almost black. He would knock down a big glass of that stuff and run circles around everybody. But I'm gonna keep going. The dried leaf of nettle contains 40% protein. So the fresh plant contains 22%, but the dried plant contains 40%. Right? Uh, I mean, that's you're not going to get a better source of protein than that. Like you're bang for your buck, right? Like meat's not like that. Eggs aren't like that. Um, and on top of that, it's a plant based protein, so it's going to be easy. It's going to be super easy for your body to digest and absorb. Um, I'm not saying you got to be vegan, nothing like that. I'm saying like in this particular instance, like you're not going to. This is going to be easy for your body to intake and easy for it to use and whatnot, right? Um, they're one of the highest known sources of protein in a leafy green, and of superior quality than many other green leafy vegetables, right? The fresh leaves contain vitamins A, C, D, E, F, K, which is very, very rare for a plant, P and B complexes, as well as thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, and vitamin B6, all of which were found in high levels and act as antioxidants. The leaves are also noted for their particularly high content of the metals selenium, zinc, iron, and magnesium. You can literally like so nettles is literally recommended as a tonic for people that have weak blood, as my father would call it, or people that have an iron deficiency. Right? Um, it works very well for anemia, very very well for anemia. Um, uh, they contain boron, sodium, iodine, chromium, copper, and sulfur. They also contain tannic and gallic acids, gum, and wax. 16 free amino acids. I can't break that. I can't stress that enough. Like, so this between the protein and the amino acids. Like, if I was a vegetarian bodybuilder, this would be one of my mainstays. One of my mainstays because of that kind of thing, right? Amino acids are very um, they're necessary in muscle building and rebuilding basic muscles and whatnot, right? Uh, so let's say you're trying to exercise more from having cancer or whatnot. This is going to help you to recover faster as well because of the protein and the amino acids, etc. Whatnot. Um, but on top of that, very so not just high in vitamins, right? But it's high by itself. It's a multivitamin. By itself, it's a multivitamin. But on top of that, it has a boatload of minerals in it. A boat from selenium to zinc, iron, magnesium. Again, copper. Copper is really important for rebuilding the nerves as well. Right? Um, this is something that's interesting that it's basically like a superfood, and they'll tell you such like it's superior meal for animals to eat, right? Like so it makes the eggs bigger when chickens eat it. It makes animals more robust, helps them be more robust, their coats more shiny, etc. It's a really good superfood in that sense, right? So it's packed from top to bottom with protein, vitamins, minerals, etc. So you can take this in multitudes of forms. You can take it in forms of a tea. You can take it and cook it. Like I said, it tastes like spinach. I actually take the nettle tops and put them on tops of pizza. Like they taste fantastic. Anything that you can use spinach for, you can substitute nettles, right? And there's some places where you can find nettles in farmers markets, etc. There's places where you can find it wild and whatnot, right? Um, all those kind of things. You can take it. This says topically, but there's also ways you can. There's uh, uh, liquid extracts you can take internally, right? Um, very effectively. Uh, Again, if you're going to take anything like that internally, I'm gonna suggest that it's a water based extract and not an alcohol based extract. Uh, you can take it in capsule form, right? You can find stinging nettles in the stinging nettle leaf in capsule form. You can take it that way. There's multitudes of ways to take stinging nettle, multitudes of ways. Um, but I will say this: any nettle leaf extract needs to be water based and not alcohol based if you're going to take an extract. Um, and I would definitely recommend that you mix it with some kind of juice or something like that. Um, with the with the with the with the mushrooms as well, you can get them in capsules or you can get them in liquid extracts. A lot of people like taking them in liquid extracts so they can just mix it with something that's easy. You can do it all in one kind of glass or something like that, right? You can mix it with anything that you like to drink. It doesn't matter, right? They won't change the chemical efficacy of the nettles or the turkey or the mushrooms. Um, but with both, if you're going to take any kind of a liquid extract, they need to be water based and not alcohol based. So with that family, I say stay tuned. Coming soon, um, I will be doing some Q&As, weekly Q&As on this very topic here. Um, and I will be doing well, my very first book that I'll be putting out. I got a few coming down the pipe. Um, but I got a book coming out on how my family fought cancer. Because I'm answering a lot of the same questions for a lot of people, and I'm recognizing that there's a lot of good universal information, and how me and my family did things that would be very useful to people and whatnot. So my Q&As will be based upon the information from my forthcoming book, um, and so yeah, stay tuned for that. It will be a very short read, a very digestible read, but be very power packed with information and whatnot, information and sources and all kind of stuff. Um, but with that, family, I'm gonna check, see if I got any questions. No questions. So with that, I appreciate y'all, family. Uh, I pray that y'all have a good day. And sis, when you get this, if you got any questions, please holler at me, family. If you got any questions, get at me in the comment section. I will do my best to get back at you as soon as I possibly can. And so with that, I say peace and love.